Hi guys, my name is Dr. Lee Sung. Welcome to my YouTube channel. What if I told you that most of the male performance supplements you see online are not backed by real science? And in many cases, they don't even contain what they promise? Yeah, that might sound surprising, maybe even uncomfortable, but stay with me, because what you're about to hear could completely change the way you look at erectile dysfunction treatment forever. Let's talk about something that affects millions of men, silently, erectile dysfunction. The inability to get or maintain a firm erection long enough for satisfying sexual activity. And here's the part most people don't realize. This is not rare, not even close. Up to 50% of men over the age of 50 experience it. And as age increases, the numbers keep climbing. 60%, 70%, even higher in older age groups. But it's not just about age, it's stress, it's lifestyle, it's diabetes, blood pressure, heart health, mental health, all connected. Now here's the reality. We actually have very effective medical treatments for this condition, but many men never use them. Some are embarrassed, some are unsure, some worry about side effects, and many simply don't feel comfortable talking about it. So instead, they turn to something that feels easier. Supplements. Pills that promise performance, stamina, confidence, natural enhancement. Sounds simple, right? But here's where things start to get complicated, because most of these supplements are not tightly regulated, and that means what's on the label is not always what's inside. Some products contain multiple ingredients, some underdosed, some untested, and sometimes even unlisted compounds. And when researchers actually studied these products, the results were eye-opening. In one analysis of 27 commonly available supplements, most contained multiple ingredients, sometimes more than 10. But almost all of them had at least one ingredient with no real evidence for improving sexual function. And even more concerning, around 88% were underdosed, meaning even if an ingredient worked in theory, the amount used was too low to actually matter in the body. And in the end, only a very small fraction showed any meaningful expected benefit. Most showed none. So let's slow down for a second. Before we talk about ingredients, you need to understand how an erection actually works, because once you understand the system, the claims either make sense or fall apart completely. It starts with stimulation, something the brain interprets as arousing. That triggers nerves to release a chemical called nitric oxide. Now listen closely, nitric oxide is like the ignition key. It starts a chain reaction inside the blood vessels of the penis, increasing a molecule called cGMP. That molecule relaxes smooth muscle, opens blood vessels, and allows blood to flow in. That's what creates an erection. But the body also has a shutdown system. An enzyme called PDE5 breaks down cGMP and brings everything back to normal. That's why medications like sindopelin and tazotolide work. They block that breakdown, helping maintain the erection. Now, with that in mind, let's talk supplements. And let's start with one of the most studied, L-arginine. This is an amino acid that the body converts into nitric oxide. So in theory, more L-arginine, more nitric oxide, better blood flow. And unlike many supplements, this one actually has clinical research behind it. Multiple studies show that doses around 3 to 6 grams per day may improve erectile function, especially in mild to moderate cases. Some men see improvements in firmness, blood flow, and overall performance scores. But here's the important part. It is not a miracle solution. It works best in mild cases, not severe dysfunction, and it can cause side effects like headaches, low blood pressure, and digestive discomfort. Also, it's not very well absorbed, so dosing consistency matters. Now, closely related is L-citrulline. This one is interesting because instead of directly acting like arginine, it gets converted into arginine in the kidneys. And it actually does this more efficiently with better absorption. Some small studies suggest improvements in erection hardness, particularly in mild cases, and it tends to be better tolerated. Now moving into more controversial territory. Horny goatweed. Yes, that's the real name. It contains compounds that may act similarly to PDE5 inhibitors in theory. But here's the problem. There is very limited human research, and what we do have is not strong enough to make solid conclusions. Plus, high doses can cause dizziness, nausea, and even neurological side effects. So despite the hype, the evidence just isn't there. Next, yohimbe. This one actually has some historical use and limited clinical studies showing benefit in certain types of erectile dysfunction. But the side effects are significant. Increased heart rate, anxiety, agitation, high blood pressure, insomnia, and because supplement quality is inconsistent, dosing can be unpredictable. So the risk often outweighs the benefit. Then we have ginkgo biloba, often marketed for circulation. But in controlled studies, especially in antidepressant-related sexual dysfunction, it does not consistently outperform placebo, and it can still increase bleeding risk and cause neurological side effects. Maca root is another popular one. It may slightly improve sexual desire, but when it comes to actual erectile function, the effect is minimal, often not clinically meaningful. Panax ginseng shows more promise. Some trials show modest improvements in erectile function scores, sometimes reaching meaningful changes, but results vary, and side effects like insomnia and headaches still occur. Tongkat Ali is often marketed for testosterone, but evidence for direct erectile improvement is still limited and inconsistent. Tribulus terrestris, despite heavy marketing, does not show reliable benefits in human studies, and in some cases has been linked to kidney and liver concerns. Ashwagandha is more about stress reduction, and while lowering stress can indirectly help sexual performance, it does not reliably improve erection quality on its own. So when you put everything together, a clear picture appears. Most supplements offer, at best, small improvements, mostly in mild cases. A few show modest benefits, like L-arginine and L-citrulline, but none come close to the effectiveness of proper medical treatments when erectile dysfunction is moderate or severe. And that's the key takeaway. Supplements are not a replacement for medical care. They might support mild cases, they might help alongside lifestyle changes, but they are not a guaranteed fix. So if you're dealing with this, the most important step is not guessing, not experimenting endlessly, but actually understanding the cause. Because erectile dysfunction is often a signal, not just a symptom, and treating it properly means looking at the full picture. Circulation, hormones, stress, health conditions, and overall lifestyle. Now, if you found this helpful, don't just move on and forget it. Take a moment and think about it. Are you relying on information or marketing? And more importantly, are you addressing the real cause or just chasing temporary solutions? If you want more evidence-based breakdowns like this, make sure to follow, subscribe, and stay updated. Because the goal here is simple. No myths, no hype, just real science explained clearly, so you can make better decisions about your health. And if this helped you, share it with someone who needs to hear it.